Episode 2, The Man in the Straw Hat. This episode introduces you more into Buggy. Buggy is played by Jeff Ward. He's a character that's a long-standing character. He's around for a long time, so get used to him. He's an interesting character. He has his insecurities. He loves his theatrics. He also has a deep jealousy of Shanks. And there's a lot of story behind it, a lot of explanation behind it, and as you go through the show you start to slowly see why he has this jealousy of Shanks, this feeling of betrayal from Shanks. Buggy is somebody who genuinely has a very interesting devil fruit power. It's a unique power, but at the same time it's hard to work out what its weakness is, but also what its strength is. His devil fruit's always been one of those ones that has always had me curious. It seems like a utility fruit. But anyways, you'll see, as you see the episode, you'll see how he uses it, what it is, what it does with it. I am glad that they connected Buggy to Shanks. It's something that, if I recall in the manga and stuff, it doesn't happen until a lot later. It's nice that the One Piece live action is taking the no filler approach. Most of these episodes don't have fillers. One of the downsides of One Piece was that it had a lot of fillers. The story is so intricate, but it had a lot of fillers. So it's nice that they're slowly starting to shave off a lot of the fillers and keep the core of the story. And then you start getting what One Piece really is. So I'm hoping, if nothing else, that's the one thing that comes from this iteration, is that we get deeper stories because your attention is not stretched by some of the fillers. As you go on through the episode, you do see a lot of different things, mainly to do with Luffy and his history with Shanks. So some of the flashbacks do cover Luffy and his relationship to Shanks, but also Shanks himself. You start to understand who he is, what his principles are, what he stands for, and it's great to see that a lot of that is kept. It also is great to see that a lot of that shows in Luffy. Shanks is like a father figure to him, his mentor, it's his friend. It's only natural that a lot of what Shanks stands for is what Luffy stands for. So it's a nice thing to see the connection there. And you see it in the same episode. Normally you see it a few episodes on, stuff like that. So it's nice to see it right there and see all of it show itself directly in the same episode. You also get to see a lot of Shanks' crew. You get to see Yasopp, who's the marksman. You see Lucky Roo, he's the one that always has that chicken drumstick with him, even fights with it. You see Ben Beckman and his structure and his way that he carries himself. It doesn't highlight that Ben Beckman is Shanks' right hand man. I'm hoping they do it at some point. He's kind of put in the background a little, which is one thing that I was like, I don't know. He should be more forefront, considering how important of a role he holds in the Red Head Pirates. I love seeing the chemistry between the Straw Hat Pirates. They're slowly starting to gel, slowly starting to become a team. It's nice to see the respect that Luffy is gaining from Zoro and Nami, but it's also nice to see the respect that Zoro is gaining from Nami. They're all slowly intermingling. Their chemistry starting to show. They're also starting to believe in each other, which is nice. Obviously every crew needs. I love the fact that the crew has this dysfunctional aspect, just like any other normal family, which is great. I love that. I don't know. I love that. The way that the world of the One Piece world is created, the way it looks, how the seas are divided, the red line, the grand line, everything. It's all explained, and Nami does it very easily on a drawing on the table, but it's something that even long-term One Piece fans still don't really fully understand. So it's nice that they visually represent it for us. It's something that plays such a major part in a lot of the story going forward, but it's not really fully explained until later in the story. So it's nice that you get this quite early on in the season and you start to understand the One Piece world. Just looking at the map, you're already curious about how does this work? What is this all about? So it piques your curiosity already. Through the episode you get little sprinkles of Garp as well. You see the respect that Garp has in the Navy. You see Garp's righteous streak, his unwavering faith in justice. But also you see that Garp is not a yes man, and he doesn't look for a yes man. Garp is somebody who believes in justice, he believes in good, he believes in right, but he also wants the same from his subordinates. He wants them to think, he wants them to do the right thing, which is nice. And so when he's talking to Kobe and you see that interaction and you see him trying to get that across to Kobe, that was quite nice. Also like the fact that they covered what seawater does to devil fruit users, what happens to devil fruit users when they go in the ocean, why they can't swim. So it's nice that they covered it. You start seeing Shanks in Peter Geldo, or Geldo, I don't even know how you say it, but you start seeing it. You start seeing more and more Shanks in him, and it starts to grow on you, even though visually it's still a lot to take, I don't know, for me at least, but I'm starting to slowly see Shanks in him. The CGI sea monster, perfect. It looked on point. I did not see how they would be able to translate the sea monster from the animation and the manga into live action. It's one of the things that I was always curious about how they would do it. But it looks on point. I'm impressed. I don't know, maybe others don't like it, but I like it. I think it looks exactly how I'd expect a sea monster to look like in a world where we don't have sea monsters. It's nice that they tried to make it look as realistic as it would if it existed in our world, but at the same time it kept some of that kind of silliness from the comics and the animation and stuff. Like the design is a bit out there. This episode is one of the slower episodes of the series so far, and from all the episodes I've seen in the series, this is definitely probably the weaker ones, but it does get better. At times when it should be faster, it's a little slower. When it should be slower, it's a little fast. Certain times where you're like, I wish you'd hold here for a bit, but it kind of just brushes past. And sometimes you're like, we need to move on, and it's still stuck there. This episode's timing is a little bit off, its pace is a little bit off, but there are some nice parts in the episode that do build towards what's coming in front. It's still worth the watch. It's just not as good as the first episode and not as good as some of the later ones. It does have some important moments and some important messages and some important things in this episode. One of the most key moments of the whole show is in this episode. The way that Luffy attains his hat. And it's such an important moment, but it's also a moment that is such a cornerstone to the show. Check it out. Let me know what you think.